Welcome back, guys. The goal of this video is to get all of these parts put back into X231's engine. I'll start with the oil pump and distributor drive shaft. I'll then be able to put the pump on and place the distributor base plate up at the top. Next, I'll move on to the governor system components and the front crank seal housing, then the front pulley. Then I can put the lifters and the camshaft in and finish up with the cylinder head studs. So let's get to it. Okay, so the drive shaft is a pretty simple installation. It just drops straight down in. Slide it down through the bushings. Make sure it's seated. Everything turns well. And now this set screw and jam nut will go in the front of the block right here, where it will tighten in to the drive shaft's collar, securing everything in position. So with the set screw and jam nut both tight, I completed the drive shaft installation by putting the two small woodruff keys on for the oil pump drive gear. So with that all done, it's time to attach the pump. Everything turns well. Oil pump is all done, and to cap things off at the top, I loosely installed the distributor base plate for now. So next up is the governor components. So I'm ready to put the governor lever in, and I've got the new oil steel installed, and I packed both of those little needle bearings inside here with grease. Hopefully that'll help things last a little longer. Get this most of the way in and position it so I can start pinning on the governor fork. Now we'll get the fork put in, started on the shaft, and hopefully get the pin lined up enough to start driving it home. Okay, that's good. Final step is just position the governor cartridge on the crankshaft, and that part of it's done. So before I put X231's front crankshaft seal housing on, I just wanted to do a quick comparison between it and the production 445 version. X231's is a heavy cast iron piece. It has the 10X prototype number at the top. This one's a 10X5218. It's got a similar style dust deflector that just presses into the cast housing. And at one time it had that old style felt crankshaft seal. Those front felt seals are no longer available, but luckily I was able to make a modern type lip seal fit in here, and it's going to work just fine. And like I said, comparing it to the 445 production version, this one's just a stamped steel housing. The old style felt front seal is an integral piece of it, and originally when that seal needed to be replaced, you'd just replace this entire housing. So definitely like X231's a lot better. I really like heavy cast over the mass-produced stamped tin. Because there aren't any alignment dowels to locate the front crankshaft seal housing, I left the bolts loose so it'll move around a little bit, and I'll just slide the crank pulley on, get it engaged with the lip of the oil seal. That should help to center the housing here, and then I can tighten the bolts down and have everything in alignment. Okay, that's tight. Last thing I have to do is install the bolt for the crank pulley. I'll get this tightened down, and then I can move on to installing the camshaft. Okay guys, before I install the camshaft, I just want to point out a couple things. We have a prototype 10X number on the shaft, 10X5191, and on the gear, 10X5192. Although the gears differ cosmetically from the 10A ones found on the production camshaft, diameters are the same and tooth count is the same. Cam lobe lift on the 10X shaft is 10 thousandths shorter than what is found on the production 10A one, And as I've touched on in earlier videos, the major difference between this 10X cam and the production 10A1 is that this cam is still of the old 4-bearing design that was found in the earlier Model ZB tractor. Okay, first I'll put the remaining lifters in, and this engine assembly grease should hold them in position long enough for me to get the camshaft placed in below them. And now the camshaft, I've already got the crankshaft positioned so that I can get the timing marks aligned with one another. Not quite in yet. I think the oil pump and distributor drive shaft is not quite meshed with the front gear yet, so I just need to turn that a little bit. There we go. Yep, it's seated now. Okay guys, camshaft is in, everything's tightened down, and backlash is real good. Check the in play real quick with the feeler gauge. In play is good. Everything turns nice. Timing marks all line up, so we're good to go. Okay guys, the bench is starting to look pretty bare, so that means I'm just about done with the video. Cylinder head studs are all that I have left to do. There's 6 longer ones, 4 intermediate length ones, and 8 short ones. And to determine where they have to go, I'm just going to use the rocker carrier as a guide. The longer ones have to go through the deepest holes, the intermediate length ones go through the shallower holes, and the shortest ones don't have to pass through the carrier at all. So just using that as a template, it's pretty easy to figure out where they all need to be. I'm going to start with the long studs first, and I've got sealant on the threads for the holes that go into the water jackets. Now the 4 intermediate length studs. Now at this point all I have to do is put the short studs in the remaining open spots. Okay, that does it. I've worked through the whole pile of parts that I wanted to get put back in the engine. Pretty happy with how everything's come together. Should have a pretty decent short block by this point. I'm confident with the condition of everything. Everything's been pretty much renewed back to new specs. So next up is going to be the cylinder heads. I'm going to get those reconditioned and get ready to put those on. The rest of the valve train stuff is already done and ready to go. So hope to see you back for that. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Catch you next time.